You're not really family, Maya. We need room for people who actually belong. When my mother said those words to me over a cold phone call, 3 weeks before my younger sister's wedding, I thought she was joking. Then the official invitation arrived in my mailbox, with my name physically crossed out with a black Sharpie and my sister's stepdaughter's name written above it. I spent 12 years being the dependable one, funding my sister's college, holding the family together while my mom rewrote history, and keeping secrets that could ruin all of them. But being erased from the guest list was the final straw. I didn't make a scene. I didn't scream. Instead, I let them plan their picture-perfect wedding, knowing that the deed to the venue, the catering deposit, and the bride's custom dress were all in my name. And on the wedding day, I RSVP'd in person. My name is Maya. I'm 28 years old, a forensic accountant by trade, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the quiet, reliable backbone holding my family together. But none of that mattered on a cold Tuesday afternoon when I opened my mailbox. Inside was the heavy, embossed wedding invitation for my younger half-sister, Chloe. The cardstock was pristine, the gold calligraphy elegant, but right across the center, my name had been physically crossed out with a thick, brutal line of black Sharpie. Written directly above it was her stepdaughter's name. My hands shook as I called my mother. Her voice came through the line, breezy and unbothered. "Space was tight, Maya," she said casually. "Chloe deserves a flawless day, and since you're only from your father's first marriage, you were the logical choice to cut. You're not really family anyway." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. In that quiet second, 12 years of blind loyalty dissolved, replaced by a cold, sharp realization. They viewed me as an ATM, not a daughter. Ever since my father passed away when I was 16, I had been relegated to second-class status. My mother remarried quickly, elevating my stepfather and half-sister, Chloe, to royalty while I became the background machinery keeping their lives running. When Chloe wanted to attend an out-of-state university, I quietly took on private student loans under my name to cover her tuition. When my mother decided her kitchen needed a luxury upgrade to impress her social circle, I managed the payments, believing that if I sacrificed enough, I would finally earn their affection. So, when Chloe got engaged, I naturally stepped up to manage the logistics for her dream $60,000 wedding. I spent months negotiating with vendors, securing a high-end estate venue, and using my personal credit lines alongside corporate discounts to reserve the finest caterers in the city. I spent my weekends reviewing seating arrangements, approving floral color palettes, and settling invoices, all while working 60 hours a week at my accounting firm. My career trained me to see numbers clearly, yet my desperate desire for maternal acceptance left me completely blind to the truth. To my mother and sister, my only value was what I could provide. I wasn't their family. I was just their funding. Instead of throwing a tantrum over the phone, I swallowed my pride, kept my voice perfectly flat, and agreed to stay out of their way. My mother sounded relieved, pleased that I was taking my expulsion so gracefully. But the moment she hung up, the accountant in me took over. I pulled up every spreadsheet, contract, invoice, and bank account connected to Chloe's wedding. What I found was far worse than emotional betrayal. My mother hadn't just used my personal credit card to pay the venue's final security deposit. She had also been making unauthorized withdrawals from the trust fund my late father left behind, money explicitly set aside for my future. She had quietly siphoned thousands of dollars to pay for Chloe's custom designer dress and top-tier bar packages. They thought I was passive. They thought I'd just accept the loss and mourn in silence. They forgot that every single contract for the venue, the food, and the floral arrangements had been signed using my legal name and my business credentials. That night, I quietly called every vendor and locked down the authorization codes. I didn't cancel a thing yet. The night before the wedding, I drove to the waterfront restaurant where they were holding the rehearsal dinner. I didn't walk inside. I sat quietly at the bar, observing them through the glass partition. My mother was holding court at the head of the table, clinking her champagne glass, boasting to the groom's wealthy parents about how she had single-handedly organized and financed every detail of this grand event through sheer devotion to her daughter. Chloe smiled, soaking in the praise, without a single word of credit given to the sister who had paid for it all. When my mother stepped out to the lobby to adjust her dress, I approached her softly. I gave her one final, quiet opportunity to fix things, asking if there was really no room for me at the table tomorrow. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and warned me not to embarrass the family by showing up. That was the absolute point of no return. I walked out into the cool evening air, pulled up my phone, and authorized the final contract adjustments. The afternoon of the wedding was stunning. Sunlight washed over the rolling lawns of the private estate, and soft classical music filled the air as 200 black-tie guests took their seats. Behind the scenes, however, absolute panic was erupting. Just 20 minutes before Chloe was scheduled to walk down the aisle, the estate's general manager informed my mother that the venue doors were locked, the catering trucks were idling, and the floral team was packing up. Every contract had been frozen due to a complete withdrawal of funds by the primary account owner. My mother shrieked, threatening to call the police, while Chloe sobbed, terrified her dream day was collapsing before it even started. That was when I walked into the courtyard. I wasn't wearing an outfit suitable for a sideline spectator. I wore a sharp, tailored ivory suit, carrying a sleek black folder under my arm. The crowd went quiet as I stepped past the bewildered guests and stood directly in front of my mother and the bridal party. I opened the folder, pulling out the deeds, the canceled payment vouchers, and the bank statements detailing every stolen dollar from my father's trust. I looked my mother in the eye and let my voice carry across the silent courtyard. You told me I wasn't real family, so I stopped paying for yours. The courtyard exploded into complete chaos. Guests began whispering frantically as catering staff started loading expensive centerpieces back into their vans. The groom's father, a prominent corporate attorney, stepped forward and demanded to see the documents in my hands. As he scanned the bank statements showing the unauthorized withdrawals from my father's trust, his face turned pale, then furious. He immediately pulled his son aside, raising serious questions about entering a family built on financial deception. My mother tried to attack my character, shouting that I was jealous and unhinged, but the cold, black and white paper trail proved everything. Her social standing disintegrated in minutes right before her eyes. Before I turned to walk away, I handed her a formal legal summons for the misappropriated trust funds, ensuring that her public embarrassment was only the beginning of her accountability. I turned around and walked out of the estate without looking back once. I got into my car, took a deep breath, and blocked every single one of their numbers permanently. 6 months later, my life is quiet, grounded, and entirely mine. Through legal proceedings, I successfully recovered every cent siphoned from my late father's trust, forcing my mother to sell her house to repay the debt. Chloe's wedding never happened, and our toxic dynamic finally shattered for good. People ask if I feel guilty for ruining her day. I don't. Family isn't defined by blood, and it certainly isn't earned through silent tolerance of abuse. True strength isn't about how much mistreatment you can endure. It's knowing the exact moment to stop funding your own disrespect.